Hey guys, happy Thursday. Joe here at SportsGrid. It's time for a Puckett with Joe. It is a Tuesday, January 9th. The year is already starting to go by fast, and I hope you guys cashed some tickets with me yesterday. We had a really strong day here on Puckett with Joe. I couldn't believe how many bets we were able to hit and the plus money ones. So my son's birthday, definitely looking like it was a good way to make some money. It definitely paid for dinner last night. Joe rolling in here with the Kraken. Kraken to get the win over the Buffalo Sabres. Joe, this is going to be a hard one. Your Seattle Kraken have come into this game off extended rest. They haven't played since last Thursday. So I do expect them to get off to a little bit of a slower start. Let's start with that one. We've got the Seattle Kraken taking on the Buffalo Sabres. This one kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll get current odds for you here. And remember, current odds are all over at FanDuel. We're seeing the Kraken at minus 105, the Buffalo Sabres at minus 114, total 6.5. Now that's 6.5 minus 122 to the under, plus 105 to the over. When I look at this matchup, that's what concerns me here for the Seattle Kraken. They've been rolling so hot. This isn't a team when you're rolling that hot that you really want to have that break. They've won their last 6 games, and quietly, no one's really been talking about this team. They were at home for their last game, getting that win of 4-1. And I do think getting out here on the road versus the Buffalo Sabres, it could be a hard start to this game. Now, the Sabres have won their last 2. They got the win over the Pens in their last matchup. Lower scoring one. That was on Saturday, 3-1. So they've had a couple days rest here as well. But I do think when we look at what we've seen out of Seattle, they've always played Buffalo hard. They've won all of their meetings versus Buffalo. And that last one, or sorry, so there's only been 4 meetings, 4-0. So no matchups so far this season, but I do think just extended rest. I'm not liking Seattle to continue to roll hot. This is the first game on the road of 6. So they want to start this road trip right, but I've got to look at this line and say the books with Seattle coming in here as the underdog when they've been rolling so hot. It's like we saw yesterday between the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche. Told you guys I like the Boston Bruins in that first period. The Avs were able to score 2, so we weren't able to cover the puck line. The Avs end up pulling that off in a shootout at the end. This line looks scarily the same way as the line that we saw yesterday. So my full game bet has to be on the Buffalo Sabres in this one. The books are giving us way too much value to bet the Kraken. It's like they're begging us here to take the Seattle Kraken. So I can't get there. Shout out to you, Matt and Jace. Thank you both for joining here as well today. If you're looking for some player props in this one, for the Buffalo Sabres, you can look at, let's do the Seattle Kraken first. Jared McCann coming in here for the point. This is another thing that scares me. The Seattle Kraken have been hot. Jared McCann hasn't got points on the board in his last couple of games, last 3, I believe. And I do think he could get a point tonight. It's only minus 106 for Jared McCann's point. It looks too good. Vince Dunn is minus 113 for a point today. He had 2 points in his last game and 8 points in his last 5. So I don't think we're going to see much out of Seattle. I think this is a game that they actually struggle to score in, which we know the Seattle Kraken have been doing better at scoring. Their number's still at 2.69. Devin Levi is in net for the Buffalo Sabres. I've just got an odd feeling about this. The books are giving us way too much value on Seattle, on their players. We should be laying the juice with the Kraken. They should be a minus 150 favorite going into this. So I can't touch Seattle. I can't touch their players. I will look at the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to take them at the minus 114 mark. I actually think a couple of their players are definitely someone you want to circle. Jeff Skinner's had 6 points in his last 4 games. You can take him for the 1 point here, minus 125. You can take him for 2+ points. That's at 400. So you kind of got to look at which player you trust the most in these games. So Jeff Skinner, great odds. Tage Thompson, he's had 6 points last 4 games as well. Minus 156 for 1 point tonight, plus 330 for 2+ points. And Alex Touche here coming in 3 points in the last 2 games. You can get him minus 142 for 1 point or plus 350 for 2+. Now, if I was to take one of these players, I think I'd take Jeff Skinner. I like how Jeff Skinner has been playing. Looking at him for The anytime point at minus 125. It's not too juicy. I do like that 2+ points at plus 400. I think it is a nice little sprinkle on that one. Lauren, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here today and all of your positive comments under my posts all the time. I really appreciate it. Let's look at the next one here. We got the LA Kings taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the Kings needed to get out on the road for this road trip. This team has been struggling, and the majority of their struggles do come at home. It's always weird when you have a team that struggles at home. They've lost their last 5. Their last loss was on the road. They lost to the Washington Capitals 4-3. They played a pretty solid game in that one. Current odds right now on FanDuel, you got the LA Kings a favorite here on the road at minus 132, plus 110 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Total of 6.5. Now this 6.5 minus 124 to the under, plus 102 to the over. I do think the LA Kings can get off to a hot start, but I don't know if I trust it for the full game. The Tampa Bay Lightning are a team that if they're on the road, I don't trust their defense, and I do think their defense breaks down a lot. I think in this one, Andrei Vasilevskiy hasn't been his best that he can be. I do expect the Kings to hit the Lightning hard, but I'm not willing to do it for the full game. Game 2, like I said, on the road, Cam Talbot expected in net. Now, the Kings are going to have to play a clean game. They're going to have to give Cam Talbot the support like they normally do. This team's so strong defensively. They're only allowing 2.42 shots on goal per game, second best overall in the league, goals per game. 27 shots on goal. You imagine if they only allowed 2.42 shots on goal per game, that would be absolutely insane. But 27 shots on goal. Their kill is elite at 87.4%. So I do think the Lightning are going to have to work extra hard to find the back of Cam Talbot's net. He has been strong on the season, 2.17 goals against average and a 0.923. And like I said, this Kings team, once they get back out on the road, this is normally a good situation for them. Off the loss to the Washington Capitals on the road, I think we're going to see a really strong performance. The road record sitting at 13-3-1. So this looks like a nice bounce back. The Kings on the puck line in the first period, laying half a goal, is plus 168. And I know how strong the Lightning have been in that first period, but I think against a defense here of the LA Kings, they're going to struggle in that first period to get that goal. So I do like the Kings first period puck line. You look at the Lightning coming in here, and they're going to be frustrated as well after that loss to the Boston Bruins. The Bruins beat them on Saturday in Boston. It was a 7-3 finish for the Boston Bruins. So, the Lightning are going to lock down defensively, try to play stronger defense. But like I said, this team on the road, their defense is struggling. I do have more faith in them here at home. This is their first game home off that 3-game road trip. So I do expect that first period just to be a little bit hard here, but they have dominated over the LA Kings. So I can't take the Kings for the full game. I could see the Lightning being able to get the win. The Lightning have won 9 of the last 10 matchups over the Kings. It's something you can't look past here. The Kings struggle versus the Lightning. But I do think that first period is a situation where the Kings can get on track in that first period. Maybe the Lightning win this one. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys are thinking in this one for the full game. I think the Lightning probably take the full game, and I hate to say that. Let's look at the next game here. We have a huge favorite in the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're minus 450 at home versus the San Jose Sharks. So plus 340 here for the Sharks. Total 6.5, plus 100 to the over, minus 122 to the under. This game scares me for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You guys know that Toronto is clearly the better team. They play down to their opponents, and they allow their opponents to give them a really hard game in situations they shouldn't. So these are the kind of games that is a head shaker that the Toronto Maple Leafs lose. Now, this is a one-off home game too. I don't like their scheduling spot. They're home off a road trip. They play this game at home, and then they go back out on the road to face the Islanders on Thursday. This is a perfect upset look here for the San Jose Sharks. Can we take the Sharks on the money line at plus 330? I do think it's worth a tiny bit of money. Don't put a lot of money on it. It's the San Jose Sharks. We know how bad this team is. We know this team did go on a winning streak. They're on a losing streak right now. They've lost their last 11 games. If you want to look at the Sharks to at least keep it tight here, you can take them plus 1.5. You're still getting plus money on that puck line at plus 136 instead of looking at the value that you're getting on the money line for this game. There's also a couple other things that you can look at because I don't know if I love it. You guys, if I'm talking about it, I'm putting a little bit of money. Do I feel good in my stomach recommending it? Not really, but the payoff is going to be huge if it hits. The scheduling spot for the Leafs just sticks out so bad for them here in this situation. Off a road trip, one game home, back out on the road versus a team that they just played in San Jose, remember, on Saturday, and they won that one 4-1. So this is a team they've already beat. I think they could come out here and underestimate what the Sharks are going to do on their own home ice. So it seems like a classic situation for Leafs fans where they want to pull out their hair. You could look here at the Sharks team total over 2.5. You're getting plus money with that as well, plus 146. That way you can take out of the equation them winning. They could get 3 goals. The Leafs could come out and get 4, 5, 6, and you'd be totally fine. We know the defense really struggles here for the Sharks. So I think this team, though, they haven't been scoring those goals. It's scary, but I do think it might cash. First period over 1.5 is minus 136. I don't hate that at all. I do think we can see a couple goals in this first period. You're going to lay juice at minus 136, though. Another way to look at this is just to do some player props that you like in this one. William Nylander, we know he got paid. So Nylander, after getting his 8-year contract, $92 million deal. What do you guys think he's going to do coming out here on the ice? I think he's going to be performing at a high level. You can take William Nylander for the anytime goal plus 110. But look at the value. 2+ goals here for William Nylander. I was blown away at the value they're giving us on this one. It is plus 700. It's definitely my favorite bet of this game for a little bit of money on William Nylander for 2+ goals. The Sharks in the first period of their last game versus Toronto, that was in San Jose, allowed Toronto to have 17 shots on goal. They were only able to have 3. So we know Nylander is going to come out here strong. I believe he had 5 shots in that one. I do think after being paid, he's a definite bet on for this one. Let's do this, sweet James Jones. Lauren Bertuzzi. You can look at Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi is always good. For the points, for the goals, I like him. Yeah, let's spread those good vibes. That's for sure. Loving Edmonton's. Both teams to score first period, Vancouver and Ottawa. James, I absolutely love the Edmonton Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks. Both teams to score in the first period. That is definitely one I have circled. The Ottawa Senators versus the Calgary Flames. That one I think is a lower scoring first period, under 1.5. Jacob Markstrom needs to stand on his head. So does Korpisalo. And then the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not sure if I got both teams to score. We'll get to that one in just a second. And actually, that is our next game on the board here. You also got to remember with Toronto, that scheduling spot, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think, really, let's just put a little sprinkle on the money lines. Don't even touch the puck line. Here's my thinking. We're either going to win it on the money line or the Sharks are going to be blown out of the water. So why would I have 2 bets, puck line and money line? I'm just going to put a little bit of money on that money line. I'm going to stay off the puck line, and then I'm going to look at Nylander for his goals because I think Nylander comes out strong. The Sharks will have to do a heck of a job here in this one to get the win, but it's possible with this bad scheduling spot. Let's look at the next one here. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the New York Islanders. I don't have both teams to score in this one. I couldn't remember if I liked the both teams to score in this one. We have the Vancouver Canucks at plus 100, the New York Islanders at minus 120, total 6.5. Minus 120 to the over 6.5, minus 120 to the under. If you think the Islanders can win this and cover that puck line, minus 1.5 at plus 188. No value on the Vancouver Canucks. You'd have to take reverse puck line. This is the second night of a back-to-back for the Vancouver Canucks and third game in 4 nights. So this is a hard situation for a lot of teams. Casey DeSmith in net for them tonight. But again, this is not a situation where I really like the scheduling spot either for the New York Islanders. This is their first game at home off a 4-game road trip. They've got the Leafs on deck on Thursday. Sorokin confirmed in goal for them. And I do like what we've seen out of Sorokin. But the Islanders lost that last game to Vegas on the road, 5-2. We've seen Vancouver just have so much success out there. I love what they're doing offensively, averaging 3.88 goals per game, first best overall in the league. The power play is connecting at 23.8%. They're averaging 28.2 shots on goal, and defensively just as strong, only allowing 2.6 goals on average per game, fourth best overall in the league. They are allowing 30.3 shots on goal. Their kill coming in at 78%, but that kill is much stronger than the Islanders. The Islanders kill coming in at 71.8%, 31st overall in the league. They're allowing Sorokin to be absolutely peppered. They're allowing an average of 35.2 shots on goal per game. I expect Vancouver, with how highly they are shooting in this game, to be able to get those shots on Sorokin in this one. I'm going to look at the Vancouver Canucks here to be able to get the win. I think they can pull this off. I also like their team total over 3.5. That's coming in at plus 130. I do think this is a 4-3 win here for the Vancouver Canucks. The Islanders defense just isn't doing enough for me, and I think it's going to be too much for Sorokin in this one. But the Islanders have been scoring themselves. So when you look at Casey DeSmith in here for the Vancouver Canucks, I think this is a nice prime opportunity. Now, could we see the lockdown in the first period? I was kind of thinking so. I was thinking maybe Sorokin wouldn't let one in the first period. Maybe Casey DeSmith would, or vice versa. So I stayed off the both teams to score and the over 1.5 in the first period. I won't be shocked if that does come in. You guys know both of these teams can be so strong offensively. So it could be a 2-1 first period here for either of them, or 1-1, but I just don't love it enough. I am looking at a couple of things though. So I'm taking this game over the 6.5. I do also like the team total here for Vancouver over 3.5, because we're getting plus money on that. The last 7 meetings have gone over between these two teams. And then I think you have to look at the player props in this one. But Horvat used to play for the Vancouver Canucks. We know how long he played for Vancouver, and I love looking at teams that were hugely impactful on other teams to be able to come back and play hard against their former teams. So you can look at Bo Horvat here for the anytime goal. That's coming in at plus 185. You could also look at his points. 2+ points in this one for him is plus 280. I do think he gets the points on the board today. So between the two, well, I would look at the goal, because you look at the Vancouver Canucks. They're not a lot. They're allowing 30.3. I do think this defense is strong. I could see them limiting the Islanders. No, I think it's 4-3. You can look at the points or the anytime goal. I probably lean towards the goal though. Then looking at the other side, I'm looking at Quinn Hughes here. You could take him at plus 460. That doesn't make sense. That must be 2+ goals. Let me check what I've got Quinn Hughes at. I can't remember what I bet him at. It can't be the anytime goal at plus 460. Actually, it might be. Let's just see here. Anytime goal for Quinn Hughes. Yeah, it's plus 460 again. You know, they were dropping this down to plus 330 for a while there. Quinn Hughes has been absolutely fantastic. You can also look at him for the power play point at plus 170. Now, you know that he's an offensive defenseman. He's so strong out there. And with the Islanders' lack of defense, I really do think those points are coming in for him. And I love that value at plus 460 for the anytime goal. Elias Pettersson, we rode with him for that point and the goal last night. He was able to deliver. You can take him for the anytime goal at plus 175 tonight. I absolutely love it, you guys. Let's look at the next matchup here. The Anaheim Ducks versus the Nashville Predators. Matt riding with Horvat as well. He's just someone you definitely have to have circled. Yeah, the Canucks on the money line. I just can't see them not getting it done. Can Vancouver sweep New York? You know, you look at their game versus the Rangers last night. They were so phenomenally strong. 6 goals in that one versus the Rangers. And well, a lot of people could look at that as they played a really hard game, could have the letdown. I just don't see it happening. Rolling with that, with the over 6.5. I love it. 32.5 shots on goal per game is way more than 2.54. Yeah, shots in the other game. I know. I'm just saying my numbers wrong here, Kelly. So let's get this money today, you guys. Super excited for today's card. Fingers crossed we can live up to what we did yesterday. Okay, the Anaheim Ducks versus the Nashville Predators. We know some of these dogs are going to win today. Okay, so I'm already like looking at a couple of road teams in bad situations and that kind of thing. Can the Ducks beat the Nashville Predators? I've been going back and forth with this one all day. We know the Anaheim Ducks are a team that in some situations able to pull off the upset. I'm not buying into it tonight. They're plus 188 here, plus 1.5 on that puck line at minus 128. I want nothing to do with the Anaheim Ducks. The Nashville Predators, though, at minus 230, it's unbettable on the money line. Minus 1.5 at plus 106. I don't love that puck line. I'm not getting enough value there. The total is coming in at 6.5, plus money to the over 6.5, under juiced to the under. So when I look at this one, we have the Nashville Predators off that game versus the Stars. They won that game versus the Stars 4-3. They faced the Stars again on Friday, and they're back in Dallas. So they're home for this game. First game on the road here for the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson, questionable the last time I saw with an illness. So I don't know who is going to be in that. Saros is expected here for the Nashville Predators. I do think this is a game where we look at the Nashville Predators in that first period to come out nice and strong. We get them on the puck line, and then we just stay off the game for the rest of it. I don't want anything to do outside of that first period. So puck line for the Preds in the first period, laying the half of goals plus 124. I also like the over 1.5 goals in the first period. That is been coming in at minus 122. The Anaheim Ducks have been allowing their goaltending to be absolutely peppered out there on the ice. And we know the Nashville Predators have been lighting the lamp. They're averaging 3.1 goals per game, 30.3 shots on goal. The power play, 21.3% conversion rate. A couple of players I'm liking here for the Preds. Forsberg, I think. Philip Forsberg, you have to look at. Shots on goal, 4+ shots on goals, minus 140. So it's juicy. You could take him up to 5+ shots on goal. That's coming in at plus 162. He's been able to get the points on the board. I think I'd look at him for the anytime goal as well. You're asking a lot of shots, but I don't trust the Ducks defense to stop these shots from coming in. Ryan O'Reilly, though, if you're looking for someone who you're laying less juice, the 3+ shots on goal for Ryan O'Reilly is plus 130. Now you can look at him for the 4+ shots on goal, and if you can hit this, it's a beautiful plus 320. I did play on the 4+ shots on him. He had 2 versus Dallas and only 1 versus Calgary, but you look at his last couple, he had 3 versus the Chicago Blackhawks, 4 versus the Washington Capitals. If he's able to get 4 versus the Washington Capitals, I do think he can get 4 here on the Anaheim Ducks. Versus the Red Wings, he had 5. And versus the Carolina Hurricanes, he had 5 as well. So I do think there's an opportunity. Even if you just do the 3+ shots on goal at plus 130, you're getting plus money. I love the 4+ at plus 330. Could he come short? He absolutely could, but I don't trust the Ducks defense, and this could be a nice situation for him to go up big. Now, the Ducks have lost their last 5. Sunday, that last loss was at home versus the Red Wings. It was a 3-2 loss, so their defense did a better job in that one, but it actually wasn't the defense. It was the goaltending standing on their heads. So we'll see what the Ducks can do in this one. You guys, I appreciate all of your comments coming in. You guys riding with the Preds on that puck line in the first period. You're laying the 1.5 in the puck line at plus 130. Let's get this going, guys. It just made me smile. Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate it. Who doesn't love betting on Philip Forsberg? That's for sure. It's definitely a solid way to go. Let's look at the Florida Panthers versus the St. Louis Blues. This game smells like a trap all day long. I'm telling you, I feel sick about this game. You're getting the Florida Panthers, who are so hot, at minus 178. Yes, I wouldn't bet that straight up on the money line. You've got the St. Louis Blues at plus 146, total 6.5, minus 122 to the under, plus 100 to the over. If you think the Florida Panthers can win it by 2 goals, laying the puck line, minus 1.5 at plus 136. The St. Louis Blues, to keep it tight, there's no value at plus 1.5 at minus 164. I want to find a way to go with the St. Louis Blues in this one because you look at how strongly they have played versus the Panthers and on that puck line overall. And I struggle to take the Florida Panthers in this one. They're so hot, though. I don't want to go against them. They've won their last 7 games. They're off that huge win on Saturday versus the Avs 8-4. Now, like that last goal coming in, it was really a 7-4 style game, but they did win at 8-4, pushing us over that live total of 11.5 we cashed on. But they got the Kings at home on Thursday. This is the last game of a 4-game road trip, which they have, if they win it tonight, they would have swept. Why are they only minus 178 here on the money line? Why aren't they a bigger favorite? I expected them to be a $2 favorite in this, and I know we're not far off that $2 favorite, but still, looking at the St. Louis Blues, they've covered their puck line in their last 6 at home. They've won 6 of the last 10 meetings versus the Florida Panthers as well, including the last 4, 2 of those in overtime in those last 4. So we're seeing a team that plays the Florida Panthers so hard, and they're at home in this one. They've won their last 2. They got the shootout win versus Carolina Hurricanes on the road. This team is playing great hockey. Florida Panthers are playing better hockey, in my opinion, but St. Louis is at home. I don't know, you guys. Anyone brave enough to take the St. Louis Blues on the money line? I'm going to take their team total over 2.5. And I know that itself is terrifying versus Florida because Florida's defense has been so strong. But it's not Bobrovsky in net tonight. It's Stolarz confirmed. He's got a 2.05 goals against average, a 0.918 save percentage. Now, these are solid numbers. Joel Hofer, though, has been strong in net for the St. Louis Blues. He's got a 2.76 goals against average, a 0.911 save percentage. So this is going to come down to if the defense kind of breaks apart here for the Florida Panthers. Now, the last time these teams played back in December, St. Louis won this 4-1. I don't know, you guys. I think St. Louis is going to pull it off tonight. The over 2.5 for their team total. They've gone over this number in 8 of their last 10 matchups versus the Florida Panthers. So they've had 3+ goals in 8 of those last 10 versus them. So I do think we'll still see 3 goals out of the St. Louis Blues, probably the safer bet. I do think this one still goes over that total of 6.5. The Florida Panthers have been scoring. If you're looking for shots on goal props, Sam Reinhart has been phenomenal here for the Florida Panthers. 3+ shots on goal. You're not laying too much juice at minus 118. You can also look at him for the anytime goal at plus 140. We know the St. Louis Blues are giving up those shots, so I'm not worried about if he'll be able to get enough. They're giving up 31.7 shots on goal per game. Okay, you guys, the Florida Panthers, though, have been scoring so many goals. 8 versus the Avs, 4 versus Vegas, the Coyotes, Montreal, and the New York Rangers. Those are their last couple of games. So those goals are coming in. Let's look at the next game here, you guys. We got 10 games today. What do you guys think of today's slate? The Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Columbus has been playing good hockey. They lost their last one versus the Wild. That was in overtime, though. I was pretty impressed with what we saw. The Winnipeg Jets, though, have been absolutely fantastic out there. Just let me find current odds on FanDuel. Winnipeg Jets rolling in at minus 250. Goaltending and defense is really key to this team. Plus 205 here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, total 6.5. The 6.5 juice to the under at minus 134, plus 110 to the over in this one. If you think the Winnipeg Jets can win this in, a 3-1 style, to cover that puck line, laying the 1.5 is minus 102. Plus 1.5 here for the Columbus Blue Jackets is coming in at minus 118. Now, they have covered the puck line in their last 7 versus as a dog versus the Winnipeg Jets. So we have seen these two teams play in really tight battles. Tarasov is confirmed in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's got a 3.6 goals against average and a 0.894 save percentage. So for them to be able to keep this one tight. He's going to have to come out and play his best hockey tonight. We'll need him to stand on his head in net because Connor Hellebuck is going to be on the other side. And Connor Hellebuck at home is finally getting into the form where I really just don't want to bet against him. Connor Hellebuck with a 2.27 goals against average and a save percentage of 0.921. The Winnipeg Jets have lost. They've won their last 6. This is a hot team. They're not losing these games. Um, Road on Sunday, they played the Coyotes. They got a huge win, a 6-2. Like I said, this team's MO is their defense and their goaltending, and I do think it will come out strong in this one tonight. The Columbus Blue Jackets have won 6 of the last 10 meetings, though, versus the Winnipeg Jets, which is surprising to see, and 4 of those last 5. So this is a team that gives them a lot of trouble. I would look at the Columbus Blue Jackets on the puck line plus 1.5 at minus 118. I do think this is a 2-1 style game. I love the under in this one. I'm not seeing a lot of goals coming in. That under, again, just for those odds for you guys, at minus 134 at 6.5. If you want to do an alt line on this one, I still like it under 5.5. I don't see this. Well, worst, 3-2. I don't see this being a 4-2 pushing us over a 5.5 total. So I would look at an alt total in this one to that under. I'm not going to touch the first period, though, because I could see this first period being a little wonky in this one. Let's look at the next game on the board, you guys. We've got the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Someone threw it out. Sorry for getting names as I talk here. The first period over 1.5. Both teams to score in the first period. And I like it here for these two teams. Both teams to score in the first period is coming in at plus 170. Odds for this game, though, this is a hard one. You've got the Edmonton Oilers rolling in hot, playing some of their best hockey at minus 450 on that money line. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is minus 178. So I can't even bet them on the puck line. You'd have to do an alt puck line if you like the Edmonton Oilers. Plus 1.5 here for the Chicago Blackhawks coming in at minus or plus 146. Total 6.5, only minus 128 to the over 6.5, which I'm pretty surprised by here because we're looking at Edmonton, who is scoring a ton of goals. They could go over this one versus Chicago on their own. I do like the goal in the first 5 minutes. You know that's a go-to for me at plus 150. I do think Chicago, Connor Bedard, not in the lineup. He has a jaw injury. He's on the injury reserve. I think this team, they got the win over Calgary in their last game. That was on Sunday. It was a 4-3 win. Connor Bedard wasn't in the lineup there. He got hurt in that game versus the Devils, I believe it was, the last one before this, or before Calgary. I think Chicago knows they have to come out and make a bang in that first period. So that's why I'm liking the both teams to score. I'm not going to bet this full game. I really do think one of these big underdogs today, which we have the Sharks as a big underdog and the Chicago Blackhawks, somehow pulls off the win. I like the Sharks better than the Chicago Blackhawks. And that's why I'm going to put some money on them versus on the Blackhawks here. So I think this one goes over the total as well. So give me the over 6.5, both teams to score in the first period at plus 170, goal in the first 5 minutes at plus 150. And then player props here. Now, Connor McDavid has been playing great hockey. You can look at him for the anytime goal at minus 110. Sometimes, though, he really lets us down in like games like this where I think he thinks he's like kind of on cruise control. He either comes out and is hugely impactful or he just kind of skates around and gets limited because the defense really blocks him off. Hyman, Bouchard, Kane, you can't go wrong with any of them. Leon Draisaitl for the anytime goal is at plus 100. If you're looking for a long shot with value, Ryan McLeod here, anytime goals, plus 370. He's got 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points on the season. So interesting one to look at Ryan McLeod in this one for that anytime goal. You guys, you got so many comments coming in here. I absolutely love it. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. Last night was a heck of a game. Can't trust the Blues to score. I know, Doug, but this Blues team actually has been getting stuff done as of late. It's really impressive with what we've seen out of them in some of these games. I'm happy that you discovered us. Let's get some fucking money tonight, you guys. Okay, the Boston Bruins taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Another one where I'm leaning on the underdog here. Looking at this matchup, look at these odds. The Boston Bruins coming in here at minus 144 on the road versus the Arizona Coyotes. It's kind of laughable. You'd expect them to be like a $2 favorite in this one, plus 120 for the Coyotes. Total of 5.5, minus 130 to the over, plus 106 to the under. When we look at Connor Ingram in net for the Arizona Coyotes tonight, they've gone 6-2 in his last 8 starts at home. So the Coyotes, such a stronger team at home. They lost their last 3 Sunday, 6-2 loss versus the Jets at home. I'm expecting them to bounce back off of that loss. Yes, it's super hard here versus the Boston Bruins, who Allmark is expected, as Swayman did play in that game last night versus the Colorado Avalanche. I just look at Boston in that hard game, and Boston on a back-to-back. You know, this team is so strong, but off of the effort they had to put in versus Colorado last night, I think it's going to be too much. And they overlook what we're going to see out of the Coyotes in this one. So I'm going to fade the Boston Bruins for the full game. If you want to bet them, I'd look at them at the first period on the puck line. First period puck line laying the half goal here is plus 168. I could see them coming out, getting a nice goal in this first period. And the Arizona Coyotes doing what we see a lot, them being able to fight their way back. Now, if you're live betting this one, if the Boston Bruins do go up, you're going to get so much more value than plus 120 on the money line for the Arizona Coyotes. And that is something I'm going to be looking at here. I'm looking to live bet this one because this is a team that never gives up. You know, Clayton Keller has been so strong out there for them. You can look at him for 2+ points out there on the ice tonight. That coming in at plus 230. I do think the defense of the Boston Bruins will be tired in this matchup. Now, the anytime goal for Clayton Keller is coming in at plus 200. When we look at the Boston Bruins off of overtime, they've failed to cover the puck line in their last 4 games after overtime. Last night's game went to a shootout versus the Avs. So I do think for the full game here, we're going to see the tired legs out of the Boston Bruins. So my only bet for the Bruins would be first period puck line. And then it is the Arizona Coyotes on home ice to be able to get the win. Clayton Keller for his anytime or 2 points, 2+ points, and then that anytime goal. Now, if you're looking for player props on the Boston Bruins because you don't want to trust the Arizona Coyotes, I don't blame you. Charlie McAvoy here, the defensive player for that, points coming in at minus 130. He's had a point in 6 of his last 10 games. And then David Pastrnak, he made us money last night. I think he can make his money again tonight. That anytime goal out of David Pastrnak coming in at minus 105. I like it. I like those props. Okay, let's look at the Ottawa Senators versus the Calgary Flames. Now, if my mom is watching and my niece and nephew, cover your ears right now because I'm telling everyone we're going with the Ottawa Senators tonight. They're coming in here at plus 112, the Calgary Flames at minus 134. At that price, I can't get behind the Calgary Flames. Total 6.5. Minus 104 to the under, minus 116. Just move. Minus 118 to the over in this one. The Sens have dominated this matchup. They've won 7 of the last 10, including 3 of the last 4 meetings versus Calgary. Calgary lost their last 2 games. They lost that last matchup to the Blackhawks on Sunday. That was 4-3. The one prior was on Saturday to the Flyers, 3-2. I think they're in for the loss tonight, just with how the Sens have played them. Korpisalo is expected in net for the Ottawa Senators, and Jacob Markstrom confirmed here for the Calgary Flames. Now, I don't think the Sens win this in a high-scoring battle. I think this is a low-scoring game. My favorite bet of this one is the under 1.5 in the first period. We're getting that at plus money at plus 108. And then the Sens straight up on the money line here. I just don't love the Flames schedule. This is the first game home off a 4-game road trip. They went 2-2 on that road trip, and they are back out on the road for their next game versus the Coyotes. That is on Thursday, and then they have the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. I don't like these one-off home games off road trips. I think it's a perfect situation to fade these teams. So I got to fade Calgary tonight. I've got to look at the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators are on a hard Pacific road trip. They're sitting 0-3 on this road trip. I know how much this team has been struggling. Vancouver, Seattle, Edmonton, and now Calgary. They have the Sabres on deck to finish this road trip on Thursday. I think this one stays under the total, but the Senators pull off the win. I hate that I just had to say that. Man, who else wants the Senators to win? I don't want them to win. It's just where my money has to go. They won the last matchup as well, 4-1 versus Calgary. I was trying to look at some goalie props in this one. I still do think these goalies come out nice and strong. But this one has 2-1 in my mind. And if it's 2-1 after that first period, just know I'll be hitting my head against the wall, you guys, over here. I just don't see it happening. I think it's a really low scoring game. Yeah, I'm going against my Calgary Flames. Mom's team's going down. I know, and they're all watching down in Australia on the big TV outside, enjoying the weather. So sorry, Mama. Anyway, you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I'm not on the grid tonight. I'll let you know tomorrow when I will be on next, but you can join me every Saturday over on the grid. I'm normally on Sports Rage on Friday nights, game time decisions on Thursday afternoons. This is a quiet day for me. If you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, please go do so. The links are below in YouTube. On X, I will be putting those links up below this video as well. We went 2-0 in our college football national championship props last night over on my short on the grid. So you go in there, you follow your hosts. There's shorts, there's prop bets, everything like that. There's so much. They actually clip the show as well. So head on over, download the app. Use the links below. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. Game Time Decisions has already started, so go on over and check it out. You guys, I'll be back here tomorrow. We've got a small slate, 3 games tomorrow, but I tell you, I spend as much time on this huge slate, 10 games, as I do on a 3-4 game slate. So maybe that's why we did so well yesterday, but I've gone over these games. It's probably 5 hours going over all of these games, all of the picks, props that I'm liking in each and every one. So putting in the work. Let's hope, fingers crossed, we make that money tonight. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. I'll be back here tomorrow, 5:30 Eastern. Bye, guys.